Hello, my fellow advocates, and welcome back to the Fan Advocacy Network. Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5 is coming out tonight, so I wanted to do a quick video talking about this current season because for me personally, I am not yet 100% on the Game of Thrones hate bandwagon. I still have hope, and this episode will determine whether I jump on board that ship or whether I remain at the station to see what happens in the final episode. For me, if the leaks are true, that's not going to be a good thing. I am not a fan of what was laid out and what I saw in the leaks, and I will not spoil it, and I will not list them out, and I will not put links to the spoilers in the description. Unrelated though, if you ever are on Reddit and you want to go to r/freefolk, that is a very interesting subreddit to visit. Completely unrelated to what we're talking about. Definitely no spoilers there, so keep that in mind. That if you happen to make it to r-freefolk, that you may find some interesting stuff there. Again, unrelated to spoilers. But here's the thing. When it comes to Game of Thrones, I liked Season 8, Episode 1. I liked Season 8, Episode 2. I actually really liked Season 8, Episode 3. I know. I am on the side of people who liked that episode. Did not like Season 8, Episode 4 because 75% of it was pure fluff and filler. It meant nothing. So for me, yeah, it's a bit of a problem. I'm looking at this episode going, come on, get to something, do something. And then when they finally do something, it's a lot of just out of nowhere shock value stuff. And so, yeah, that's fine. I understand why they did it the way that they did it. They realized that if we just had an episode where they were sitting around eating and talking and just doing nothing, then people wouldn't be happy. So they threw in at the end, they gave you some twists. Here's the thing that really is quite interesting about this new Game of Thrones. They are so invested in what Tumblr and what Twitter say about these episodes that they actually had a scene at the end, spoiler alert ahead, by the way, they had a scene at the end where Missandei is executed by Cersei. Now, there are a lot of problems with this. The reason why it matters is because it matters to the audience. In the Game of Thrones world, Missandei is nothing. She's nothing. They wouldn't have a public execution for Missandei. They wouldn't use her as leverage. She's one person in the army. As far as Cersei and them know, she's just some secretary, some basic advisor. She's just a translator. That's it. She's just a translator. So from Cersei's perspective, this entire thing doesn't make sense. Not to mention the fact that why didn't Missandei, knowing she was going to die, grab Cersei and fall down the wall? If I knew I were going to die, if I knew that this was going to happen, I would grab Cersei by the neck and I would fall with her. But Missandei doesn't do that. So this entire thing is illogical from the start and the finish, but why didn't Missandei go out like a hero? Instead, Cersei has her by the arm. Cersei's right there. Grab her and fall. That's all it would take. Grab her and fall. And don't say that, oh, she's chained there, so there's no way she could do it. No, she's not. Because she threatened to shove her over the edge. No, she could grab Cersei and fall. Anyway, with that aside, and that is a huge thing, and I think that is one of the reasons why people are not liking the season, because there are so many glaring issues, so many glaring contradictions, so many flaws. You know, in this episode, Euron's fleet just happens to surprise them? Really? Out of nowhere? You're riding dragons, you can't see that there's a fleet of other ships in the area? I mean, this entire thing is completely ridiculous. And so, yes, in that way, I do understand and I can relate to people who are upset, but I'm not 100% there. We will see after this episode what happens if I do jump on board this Game of Thrones bandwagon, because unlike some people, I remember Lost, and Lost had one of the greatest starts and one of the worst finishes in TV history. We will see if Game of Thrones can top that with one of the greatest starts and one of the worst finishes in TV history. We'll see if they can dethrone Lost. But I don't know. That's a tough fight. That's a tough battle to win. But I wanted to make this video because we're going to see in this episode whether the leaks are true. And if they are, man, I really hope they're not. Really hope they're not. Because this has implications into Star Wars. We know that these creators are going to be working on Star Wars movies. And I don't want incompetent people working on Star Wars movies again. And that's what happened with Rian Johnson. He completely bungled it. So anyway, guys, this is going to be a shorter video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Game of Thrones has been one of my favorite shows for a long time. I liked some of the season 8. Last episode was really not great. They undid a lot of character development in one episode. They undid Daenerys' character pretty much instantaneously, where now she's suspicious of Jon, she doesn't listen to him, and now she's just insane. I mean, okay, sure, whatever. Ridiculous. Now she's a nut job. So, there is that. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.